Hey everybody, it's Patricia Berry from the Salty Fundraiser, and I'm here again for Women's Day, Women's Month, talking with badass women. And this is a series that I'm calling Brief Love Letters to Badass Women. And the person that I'm joined with today is Leslie McGraw, who is also my marketing maven and molder and all the things that you're helping me to do in the marketing space. And she is owner of Let's Go social media marketing and training. And my love letter to Leslie is, we have been in the same community for, I think, a number of years, but never really intersected until about a year and a half ago. I'm going to put that in, pandemic time, it has no meaning.
Correct.
About a year and a half ago. And I remember two specific garden conversations. One was in our friend Jen Eastridge from Unicorn Feed and Supply, another badass boss lady. And then also in the garden with Amy Balzer Pemberton, that it was just a wonderful coming together of women in collaboration. And it was all women who were doing all sorts of interesting things, some in education, their education, leading other educations, and then a lot of women that are doing entrepreneurial stuff. And I really just got so connected to that and that collaborative energy that these women had. And you were very much kind of like this wonderful little still center of a conversation that you were kind of like watching and listening. And then suddenly you would say something that was like, so like, boom, mic drop. And I was like, okay, there she goes. And when I think about like what I would write to you in a love letter, I'll just tell you what I feel in the moment. There was a moment when you and I had an onboarding conversation, because after I met you in these gardens with all these like badass boss ladies, I was like, oh, I'm going to work with Leslie. And in our first discovery conversation, for the first time in my business, you spoke back to me the heart of my business. I can't even tell you, like, I'm already, even as I talk about it, I'm getting like a little teary. Because it was a moment that I had been trying to articulate what I was trying to do. Put love and money and fundraising and philanthropy and social justice all together in this, lovely thing. And I was always feeling slightly like I'm not getting the message across. And Leslie just went right to the heart of it. And I don't know if you remember in that conversation, but I was like a little like, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that.
Yeah.
So Leslie, that's my love letter to you. And I know that we have wonderful projects to work on ahead. And I'm really glad that I had this opportunity to say, yes, you are a badass. And I'm really glad that you're in my network. And so we're here for Women's Month, Women's Day, whatever. We're going to do it forever. I'm probably going to do this as a year-long thing. And so we were kind of struggling a little bit with the question. I know that I asked somebody else a question. They were like, I don't know if I really like that question. So tell me what question we arrived at that you want to answer in this, Women's Day experience love letter.
Right. So I think the two questions, or the one was, what makes you salty being X and female? And the other one was about what would you tell your younger self? So I think in a couple of sentences, I probably could expound on both, because for me, they're the other side of the same coin. So what makes me salty as a full person and a female? When I say full person, like a full authentic self that shows up. So I'm a poet and an artist, and I have politics, and I have, children, and I'm all these things, but I'm also female, is often not what we consider professional.
Okay.
In Western society, right? So the early days of my second decade in my business, so I've been in here 10 years, and I before starting my business in the early days, I went to a lot of mixers and coaches and professionals, and some paid, some volunteer, and I constantly heard like what you can't do.
Oof.
Can't wear your hair like this. You can't wear this. You can't. You right. You can't let your
She
person,
says
your
that
poetry, that's separate, right? You can't.
Right.
I kept hearing that. And it's only been, the light just came on for me in the last few years that as I talk to more male collaborators, because I do believe in collaborating with both male and female, and they didn't have those conversations with their mentors.
Mm-hmm.
So if they said, I want to go from little marketing to fundraising for football games. Okay, sure, let's do it. You know, I have been consistently told what I can't do since I was about 16.
Oh, and you just blew past it. That's amazing.
Yeah. And there have been consequences, but I would tell my I guess my younger self, bump the consequences, just push forward, and you will attract the right people.
Right.
You will just attract your people. They keep coming in. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of weirdos out there. And I should say that. I mean that in a good way.
Not me,
like,
though.
Right? Okay.
And this is something that's been coming up in all of these conversations with my badass women. What we get criticized on in business, like I really felt like I could be businessy and mathy and all that stuff and still talk about love and compassion in fundraising. And consistently, I would be told, like one of the things that's still like, I'm salty about it, but it's also pivotal for me, was I was told that I did fundraising like a social worker. Mm-hmm. And it was not a compliment. It was from a senior level person at a big organization that I was working on after I had just raised 175 million for his stupid area. But because I was talking about respect and family type fundraising, that I was really told that all these emotion-y things were really, we don't know if you're our kind of fundraiser. And that I think is like that realization that all those things are a superpower. The way I want to wear my hair, that's a superpower. The fact that all of these wonderful women that I've been meeting in Southeast Michigan show up at the backyard barbecue with their kids and their dogs and their everyday jeans. And we still talk about things that are about changing the world, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's just amazing to me.
Still show up, we still do our work. Exactly. And I will say, so I feel like we need to mention, that's not just from men. Some of that messaging I got was also from women too, that have been hearing the same messaging, and they've handed down this same messaging like an heirloom, like, oh, dear one, you're starting into business. Let me tell you how I made it. And my whole thing is, maybe that's what you had to do in 1982, but we're 2022, and I will not suppress 80% of myself to make 20% successful, because I am a whole woman.
Can you say that one more time?
I said that they have worked in 1982 to, compartmentalize, but we're in 2022, and I refuse to suppress 80% of me so that 20% of me can be successful.
Oh, and that's, what I felt like showing up in those spaces and meeting people like you, that I could suddenly be my whole thing. And we were going to figure out in this kind of like not competitive, very supportive, space and conversation, that you could actually be successful and be 100% of who you are at any given time. That's a love letter if I ever felt it. All right. Many thanks. I appreciate the fact that we're working and collaborating together, and I'm going to think about that 80% so that I can be 20% successful. Like, don't show up without your whole self. I love it. So thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.